Hey and hello, welcome. My name is Jana. Welcome. We are talking high school today in homeschooling. So I'm going to go over my language arts programs and curriculums that I use. I've been asked a ton about what I use for language arts and English, and I'm going to share that with you today. I have graduated 6 of my kids from high school. I'm on my 7th one, and I've got one more after that. But I'm going to share with you the things that I have used over the years, and also what I'm going to be using for my son this fall. He is going to be a junior in high school. So hopefully that is something of interest to you. So let's get going with the video. Let me dive into grammar first, and I'm going to show you some of my grammar curriculum. I've got so much stuff here. So I have really gotten into this one this year, the last couple of years. Rules of the game. There was a school, like a private school, that was getting rid of all their curriculum, and I found this, and I thought, I'm going to try this. And you know what? I really like it. And the reason I like it is because the lessons, you have all the stuff that you read and the definitions of everything, and then you go through this, and then you have exercises that I go over with my kids. Like on the very back, they have a page of finding out the errors of a sentence and all the things that you've learned. It's just been very methodical. It's been easy for me to understand and help my high schoolers, especially in the early parts of high school, about the deeper things of grammar, and as we are getting ready for the ACT test. So check this one out, rules of the game. Let's talk vocabulary now. Do high school kids need vocabulary? Some may. I choose to do vocabulary for one reason, and that is the ACT tests, or if you're doing the SAT. And I found this many years ago, and they still have them. I checked. They're on Amazon for about $13 a book. And it is the vocabulary cartoons, which I did it for my one son who was very artistic, and he absolutely loved them. And ever since then, all my kids have really enjoyed them. They go through them on their own. They're very explanatory. So it's basically rhyming mnemonics. And let me show you a page. So this one says gape, and it has a cartoon, and then it goes through and it says, see, it sounds like ape, and then it gives you the definition of it, and then it has the cartoon, and then it just helps your mind remember what this all means by the picture. And I think it's brilliant, and my kids really enjoy it. There's different books. There's one, this is number 2, and I think there's actually a 3rd book also. And it gets them really prepared for the ACT test with their vocabulary, and it helps them to learn some really interesting, probably vocabulary words that maybe they wouldn't. Now, if they're really good readers, they're going to learn a lot of vocabulary just by reading. But this just helps to make sure that they're learning them, and it's in a fun way. Now, I also found out that they have them for earlier grades, like elementary school, which they did not have those. And so I am actually adding those to my daughter, which I think she'll really enjoy them. If you don't like the cartoon ones and it doesn't really seem to help your children learn it, there's a lot of different things out there that you can do. I got this last year, this vocabulary builder workbook, simple lessons and activities to teach yourself over 1,400 must-know words. I love the word teach yourself. That's what I like about that. And so, I haven't given that to my son. He's been doing the vocabulary cartoons, but I got that just in case he gets tired of these and we have something else that's a little bit more serious. It might be for someone that's a little older that learns in a different way. So that is another possibility for you to teach vocabulary to your high schooler. Let's talk writing now. Writing is very important for high school. They need to be good writers. If they want to go to college, they need to be good writers for anything, even if they're not going to college. Writing is so important in your education, and sometimes writing is hard to teach. I do have to admit, sometimes I have struggled in this area with my high schoolers. It's just because it's a very subjective kind of skill to learn, but I have gotten better. And the reason I've gotten better is because of curriculum. So I have really been using the last couple of years IEW, But I've really liked the IEW, which is Institute for Excellence in Writing. And when I first started out with it, I first started my kids with these kinds of things, with the history-based writing lessons. It was very fun for them because everything was about U.S. history, which we were learning about. They also have one with medieval history, and I think they have other ones, obviously. So that's a great way to start with your writing, let's say in middle school. But when you get into high school, I really like to do his writing program. And so now we do the structure and style for students. Now, I do have to say about IEW, it is expensive. But what you get is you get this binder with all of their lessons, and then you get these CDs, which are gold right here. And these are all of the CDs that your kids watch, and it's basically lessons, a teacher teaching them, so they're just watching a teacher teach, which is Andrew Padilla. It's one of those things that with high school, a good curriculum is worth its weight in gold, and sometimes it costs as much as gold. But just know that it is a little on the pricey side, but it is well worth it. So there's different levels, A, B, and C for this style and structure, but he just goes through the whole process of writing, and it is made for high school kids and even possibly middle school. It's something that they can do a lot on their own. If they get stuck, if my son gets stuck, he will come to me and I will watch the video with him, the CD, and then I just kind of, help him out. But most of the time he can do this on his own, which that's what I really love. I love independent learners in high school. But after I do structured style, I next want to do some college writing. And this one is the Advanced Communication series from IEW, which is basically teaching them and getting them ready for college writing. So my son is going to start this year after he finishes this last level C in structure and style, and I think that's going to prepare him for college and for anything else that he needs. Let me go over my son's language arts that we are going to be doing for this fall. So he is 16, turning 17. He's in his junior year. So this is what we're going to do. With vocabulary, I'm going to have him finish these books. Actually, it's this one. It's number 2. So we're going to finish that, and when he's done with that, I'll give him this if he gets done with that, and I'll say, what do you think? Do you think this will be a good book? Do you think you need it? And he'll tell me, and we'll decide. All right, then we're going to finish the rules of the game. I think we're on 4 or 5. Make sure he has a really good, solid grasp of grammar, and so I'm going to do that. And then after that, I think we're pretty good with grammar. And that's really what I do in the high school years, these last 4 years. I really teach to the ACT test. I like them to take the test, and it's a great exercise for homeschoolers to have a deadline, to have an end goal, to study for something that is on the horizon. I think it's very helpful, and I've had all my children do that. And then for our writing, we're going to finish out the structure and style IEW level C, which I think he might be a little bit behind, which you don't really need, but we didn't finish it last year. And then after that's done, we're going to do the Advanced Communications series that is about college writing. Now, I do have, also with language arts, we do literature. I like him to read 2 books a month. That's 1 book every 2 weeks. And I'm also okay with him listening to them on audiobooks. He does that during work. He'll listen to these books. But we try to have a little discussion about it afterwards, especially if I've read the book. He gets to choose some, and I get to choose some for him. Usually I am doing it according to, different genres, like American literature or British literature, whatever it is. So that is what we're going to be doing for our language arts this year for my 16-year-old who will be a junior. Now, let me just tell you really quickly how I put this into my son's week. So let's start with vocabulary. Vocabulary, I usually have him do that 3 to 4 times a week, and he usually does it for maybe 30 minutes a day. He will go through I'll give him maybe 2 or 3, words to go over. He looks at all of the different cartoons. He kind of memorizes it. He kind of writes it down in a book. I think that's what he does. And he does that, 2 or 3 of those a day. And then at the end, of the week, he will do the review little quiz at the end. So that's kind of how we do vocabulary. All right, for grammar, I kind of explained that before, but let me go over it again. So basically, I will have a grammar lesson with him, and usually it's at the first of the week. And I will sit down with him, and we will go over the lesson in the book, which is Rules of the Game. And we will go over the lesson, and I will, sometimes write on the whiteboard, some of the things that were in the lesson to kind of help him understand the concept that we're learning that day. And then I will give him the exercises that he needs to do. Usually we don't have time for him to do it right then. It's just the lesson. And then during the week, he will finish those exercises for that lesson. And, there's usually about 2 or 3 pages worth of exercises for him to do. So it takes him all week to usually finish them, and then he hands them back in. I correct them, and then hopefully by the time we start our next lesson, I have them corrected. Sometimes I'm correcting them really fast before we start, but then we will go over anything that he missed, anything that he didn't understand, and then we will go on to the next lesson. That's what we do for our grammar. The other thing now for the structure and style, he works on that almost every day. So he will do the lesson, he will do all the things that go on with the lesson. He'll watch the lesson first, and then there's different assignments in there, and he will do them. And then if he has any questions, he comes and asks me. Last year he was struggling a little bit, so we had to kind of slow down and rewind some of the lessons, which is what we do in homeschool, right? After his paper is done or whatever assignment, I will try and correct that and get that back to him. Then with his literature, he tries and read a book every 2 weeks. And sometimes it morphs into 3 weeks. That's okay. But we try and get as many books for him to read and listen on audio, and then talk about them a little bit. I'm going to try and do better with that in the discussion, because I really like that part of literature. I like to talk to my children and have these great discussions and, see what they're feeling about what they just read, the good and the bad of the book. Not all books are people's favorite. And I think that's really healthy and really good to talk about those kinds of things. Okay, I think that's everything for his schedule and how we do it during the week. So if you need more help with high school and planning for high school, I have a great video next that you should watch. I just dropped it last week. It's about the 4 years of planning, and it is so helpful for high schoolers that are going to homeschool. I just don't think there's enough out there on YouTube about homeschooling in the high school years, so I'm going to be dropping a lot of content this summer. So please think about subscribing. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for being here. Toodles.